everyone. I'm Susanna and I will be your marshal for you today. And today our topic is right to water. And I want two leaders of the group to stand up. And so, Pedro, start and you can present your group.
Hello, I'm Pedro. I'm the leader of this group.
She can say it now.
Oh, my name is Sofia.
My name is Miłosz.
My name is Natasha and I'm from France.
Hello, my name is Malo. I'm the leader of the group.
Hello, I'm Karol. I'm from Poland. I'm part of this group.
Hello, I'm Andres, and I'm from Spain.
And I'm Sharka, I'm from Czech Republic.
Okay, so give it down. There's one group who is approving of the topic and another who is not. So maybe you and you'll approve. Let's talk about it. Yes. So you can start.
Okay, so we think that according to the one of first human rights is that every person should have access to clear water for sanitary purposes and for drinking. It's like a human law. So we think that every country which doesn't have water or has a hard climate in which getting clear water is pretty hard, or if they are able to get water, they get the dirty one with microbes and germs, and after that there are a lot of sicknesses and pandemics in their villages. So we think that we should distribute clear tap water, not in bottles, like tap water in the drains, because by distributing water in the sorts of bottles will make a lot of extra unnecessary trash, and that would be bad for the environment. That's all I think. Everything. I'm summing everything up. We would want to distribute water to everyone because it's their right, and we would distribute the clear tap water for them. Tap water for drinking. Yeah, that's all right. Thank you all.
It's your turn.
All right, so let me start with a distinction we want to make. We don't disapprove of the idea of your movement that started for the European Union called Right to Water, but we do disapprove of the implementation of it that is about to happen because of a couple of factors. First of all, there are some ecological effects that the movement of water would have. For instance, one time Ethiopia basically cut 25% of all the water Niles and dried it up partially because they transferred clean water to their dam, and that dried up almost all of Egypt's reservoirs that they use for farming. Therefore, it is quite difficult to be in accordance with the water cycle. And if we disturb it, there is even less drinkable water, which defeats the whole purpose of this movement. What we do propose is a feasible way in which countries could financially contribute to the movement of water so that it would be less expensive, because now it is made basically cheap, and the firms that transfer the water make it unsustainable. If they wanted to make it sustainable, it would be more expensive, but then the countries that are marginalized or vulnerable would not be able to afford it. So the bottom line is we kind of want to make it affordable by every country from either European Union or United Nations chipping in their money. It could be divided based on their GDP or whatnot, and it would basically be this move of solidarity that would make the water accessible to these marginalized countries better than what was proposed by this House. That's all from me. Thank you.
We understood what you said, and we think that for the countries that have dry environments and they really need this water to not only wash themselves or use it for domestic purposes, just to eat and produce and grow crops, because there are very complicated situations and really things they need, and more than other countries.
Our turn? Yeah. So we agree with what you said, but Connor said that access to water for sanitary purposes is like the main purpose of the United Nations, but when they have to pay money, they don't want it. Well, everyone wants the good, everyone wants like good reasons, but they don't want to pay, so that's the main problem of this. We have a question for you, and it's like, what's your idea to solve the problem of the water distribution?
Okay, so you said that in Ethiopia it happened that they had to build a dam and that lower the rise of the water. They built a dam, but how to distribute and solve the problem? In Africa and Asia and in the places where it's lower water, they need the water. And we can help them. We can pay just a little bit to be all in one in peace to distribute water. We are good, so we have to do something for them to distribute water. We can make it by GDP or per person. We can do something. So it's not maybe a really good idea to build a dam where there is lower accessible of water, but they have to have the water because it's basic human right.
Mm-hmm.
basically, we're agreeing with what we told, and we have another proposition. Instead of making financial support, we can make that rich countries of the UN can sharing their water reserve to another poor countries like African countries and Asian countries like India, stuff like that. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question for you. So you want to distribute water to other countries, like donate it from the country's water sources, yes? And how are you going to transport it?
By big planes, like cargo planes.
Well, yes. So you want to transport it by cargo, yes?
Not at all, but yes, it's an option.
But you know that cargo ships produce a lot of pollution and they poison the atmosphere.
It is a
So-
secondary issue and a different subject, not a subject of this
Yeah.
debate.
Yes, but it's inefficient.
Oh, yeah, I have a question for you. Can you think of any more efficient way? Stand up.
Yes, I think that a more efficient way could be transporting water by some kind of channels that are dug out, or even pipes, because pipes are where they would take some time to build, but they are sustainable. The water transporting water itself will only take the power and pollution to power up the pumps to pump the water through the pipes to some countries. Like you could make a point where the donated water could be stored, and in there you could like transport it there via cars, like the big ones with the barrels on the back, I forgot the name. Through trucks, yeah. Through water transporting trucks, but it would be inefficient. So the most efficient way, with the less pollution, would be to transport water through trains, because trains like produce a lot less pollution, and they can take like a lot of cargo wagons, and they will be able to transport a lot of water in one drive. Alright, that's all.
So, further questions. My first question too is how would it be economically feasible? And the other question is, because, railways, good idea, but you would have to basically reorganize the entire urban structure of every city, right? Like, especially if it went within continents, it could be feasible, right? Because you could have you could have trains that just go through countries, but then you would have to build the railways and build them somewhere where there's nothing else, right? Not over roads or anything. So that's one problem with it. And the other problem is if you want to distribute water to Africa, which is a different continent, overseas, where do the trains go, is my question.
And that's why I proposed it as the first idea, building pipes. You can build them on the seabed, and they will be able to transport it without any problem. But I know that the building process of such water transportation system would be a pretty hard thing to accomplish. But I think it will be a lot worth it, because it would make the transportation itself a lot easier.
Yeah.
Well, we think that ZDBA is physically impossible. Not physically, but it's super impossible to get that. First, because the ecosystems that you will destroy creating that pipes, it will be very dangerous. The second one is not the 193 countries that is formed by the United Nations will accept that. And we have a proposal for you. As you know, the 97% of the water on the world is salt, and only the 3% is fresh water that is mostly used for farms and for trees, you know. And so we have a proposal for you and for all the United Nations that if we use like the 0.5% of their PV, like their all money country, like they can use it to create a factory that in every country to transform that salt water into fresh water, so they can invest in it.
So your proposal is to separate salt from water to transform that's not drinkable water in potable water. But first of all, it will use a lot of energy because you have to heat this water to transform it to vapor. And then you have also salt that is going to be here, and I want to ask you what you are going to do with it.
Okay, the first point we made in our group was to use renewable sources of energy for the energy production. That would result in fresh water out of salt water. And I know what you mean by the salt that is created as a byproduct. There are two types actually. One of them is usable for like the kitchen purposes and stuff like that. So you could redistribute that easily in the world, and it would actually make profit, which is also great. Then there is the other salt type that is not usable, and usually people bury it under the ground. There are like special containers that are. One example of a country that does this is Malta. They basically make salt, and if there is that dangerous part, the very concentrated salt that is not, good to store in nature, then they basically just bury it in these like sustainable little boxes under the ground. So that's a solution.
Okay, but what money do you want to build the factory? And then when you store the containers underground, if the containers break, it's a catastrophe to all the agriculture, because all the food that they have goes down. So what are you doing?
Okay, in answer for your both questions, first I'm gonna answer the second one, okay? Yeah, that's true, it would be a catastrophe, but it should not break. Anyways, another option is like send it to the space. Yes, it will be very sustainable. And then the first one, where we can get money, that's what I said, that we can do a plan and make a proposal to the United Nations and spend like his own 0.5% of his PIB. And of course, nations or countries like United States or I don't know, France, Germany will pay more than countries that are in that's Ethiopia, Eritrea, and it will be very fair for us.
So, so you said that you want to send the salts into space. Well, you have a lot of problems that will come if you want to do that. If you really want to do that. First, the cost. I think it's not only the financial cost, but also the resources cost. It takes up a lot of hydrogen, depending on the rockets. And for 1 ton, it's about $14,000, the cheapest way, and up to 50,000. It's expensive one. And also, when you will put the salts in low Earth orbits, because it will be cheaper because it's closer, it will create small salts molecules, even bigger, that will create at the end space debris and will can go into northern probes and then create even more space debris, and it just creates trash into space.
I think there is a lot of trash in the space, but that's not a problem. I think that we're gonna use the same money that the rich country support we're gonna use the same money for making the salt water fresh water, and that's all. Okay.
Well, you can't. I think you can't delete something when you burn it, but it stays there. It just transforms into gas or something, but it stays there and it just creates more pollution.
In space.
Well, it will create pollution into space, which is going to warm up the planets even more, and you have the same conclusion here.
We
That's a conclusion. I guess you could. Just can stand up.
So, the conclusion is that we can choose between economy, pollution, or ecology, and safe planet.
Yes.
That's not official conclusion. Can I speak on the draft for that?
Our conclusion is that all human beings have the right to have clean water free.
Yes, so as Miloš said, we just wanted to mention that there will always be these fights. It always kind of has to balance out. And although we do agree, again, with the idea, the implementation is more difficult than it looks like, and therefore, I guess we offered a bunch of solutions that will always have some economic impact, such as how Manu mentioned about the cost of the rocket space, or the potential risk, although it's pretty small, of the boxes breaking when you hide the salt, and etc., etc. We could talk hours about this, but basically the bottom line, that the stance that we have is that the idea is what we both agree with, both sides. Unfortunately, the implementation is a little more difficult than it looks like.
So, there is no ideal way to transport water, but we can make up some kind of method that won't pollute the world too much, won't make like too much of trash. Like for example, instead of small water bottles, we could like transport it in 100-liter barrels. It would be quite alright to transport it in that way, but also the barrels are harder to store and everything, so it's not ideal either. There is no ideal way to transport and store water. It always has something bad in it. So we think that someday we may get to the point that we find the ideal way, but for now transporting water through streams, rivers and channels is the best for the ecological side, because they are easy to make. You just dig a channel and put a concrete around it, so the water doesn't go into the ground too much. You seal it off from one side to the other side, and it's easy. It's not that great for transporting water worldwide, but locally you can transport water like this. Like Greeks did it, and it was pretty okay.
So, I think at this point we would repeat each other and what we said, because we technically agree with everything already. Like this was the compromise, what we said.
So if you